Good to see you all again.
Hello again.
Let's take you live right now to the Foreign Affairs Minister in Washington.
And his team, and we'll be back again tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock to continue the discussion. What has really paved the way for what Canada believes will be a good week is the fact that Mexico has made some significant concessions, particularly in the area of labor and of rules of origin on cars. For our government, good jobs for working people in Canada has always been our priority. And these concessions really are going to be valuable for workers in Canada and in the United States who have been concerned for some time about their jobs going to lower wage jurisdictions. So for us, that's a very important piece. Canada and the United States had very intensive conversations around rules of origin earlier this year, and we reached some high-level agreements around what we thought we wanted to see, particularly when it comes to labor. And so the fact that Mexico was able to do something that I think must have been quite difficult for Mexico and make those concessions does really set the stage for some productive conversations for us here this week. Bonjour. Au plaisir de vous voir encore
Very
une fois.
happy to be here and see you again. And we had productive discussions with Ambassador Lighthizer of USTR, and we have decided to continue and resume those talks tomorrow morning at 9. And the fact that Mexico has made some serious compromises during the summer, and is something that opened the possibility for Canada to have discussions that are productive this week. And for us, the good jobs for North America is one of the priorities of our government. In Canada and the United States have had many conversations already this year that were really serious regarding the jobs for cars and in the car industry, and we achieved a deal, an accord in principle with the United States. During the summer, there were very tough compromises for Mexico, but those compromises are really good for workers in Canada and in the United States. And this is an important stage, and that's where we are right now. Are you ready to make some concessions? Mr. Lighthizer talked about those without opening on supply management. Well, we believe that this week will be an important week, and for me, I have a positive attitude and on the conversations that we are having this week. Now, Ambassador Lighthizer told me and that he agreed with this, and he also has a positive attitude for this week. Now we decided to have conversations that are more in details regarding specific issues starting tomorrow.
So let me just reiterate that it was a constructive conversation, and Ambassador Lighthizer agreed that if I were asked, he was fine with me saying that he feels it was a constructive conversation as well. We are set, we believe, for an important and constructive week. We agreed we would go into detail on specific issues beginning tomorrow morning. And I should also say that we will be meeting with Mexico later today.
What about the dispute settlement? What about the dispute settlement, the Chapter 19? Have you discussed that?
We're going to discuss specific issues tomorrow. And I think the Canadian position and the issues that are of particular importance to Canada are well known. We've been at this now, all of us together, for a little bit more than a year. And so I think people on all sides are very aware of what the issues are that have the greatest significance for us.
Mexican officials will be here tomorrow with you.
We're going to be meeting bilaterally with the Mexicans this evening.
Will be
trilateral tomorrow?
Minister, when it comes to the Americans signaling that they could go forward with bilateral agreement with Mexico, leaving Canada out, your thoughts about that? A lot of discussion about it, leaving Canada out, your thoughts if they did. I know it's still early to say, but your thoughts when you heard that?
You know, look, our position from the outset has been that we hope for the best, but we are always prepared for all scenarios. We always look for the areas where a win-win-win compromise can be found. And the fact that Mexico has taken some tough decisions for Mexico and agreed on some compromises around labor in the rules of origin discussion really is positive for workers in higher wage countries. It's positive for Canadian workers, it's positive for U.S. workers. That is something significant for Canada. We had a high-level agreement with the U.S. around these issues that we achieved earlier this year. And the fact that that agreement on those difficult issues for Mexico was able to be reached is definitely clears the way for us to have some significant, substantive, and I hope productive conversations with the U.S. this week. We will, as we have done throughout this negotiation, stand up for the Canadian national interest and for Canadian values, while looking for areas where we can find a compromise that everyone can live with.
You said Canada's positions are well known. That's one where I'm not sure what Canada's position currently is, because Prime Minister Trudeau said we cannot accept an agreement with the sunset clause, but that's when the sunset clause proposal was for 5 years. So right now, is Canada willing to accept any kind of sunset clause?
Good question, Dale. Nice to see you here. So, as I said, we are going to have a much more detailed conversation around specific issues tomorrow. We have been in touch with the U.S. and Mexico throughout the summer. Some positions have moved since the last time we met face-to-face, and we will be looking closely at what those changes are and at what they mean for Canada, and we'll be addressing that tomorrow. I should also say that officials are engaged intensively, Canadian and U.S. officials. So this is really going to be a full steam ahead effort with a lot of groups working very intensively. This is a really big deal. We've been working at it for a long time, and all parties are very familiar with the issues. And you know, we're going to engage in earnest. And today was a constructive, positive start, and we're happy about that.
About Chapter 19, can we save the Mexican in the next 3 days? Or is it realistic for Canada to save Chapter 19 in the next 3 days? Or we're going to have to just let it go?
Will it be trilateral tomorrow or only bilateral?
Trilateral tomorrow, meeting.
An easy question. Bilateral or trilateral tomorrow?
As I said, we're looking forward to meeting our Mexican counterparts later today.
Are we going to be able to say, so the Mexicans gave up Chapter 19 apparently, this is what Lighthizer told us yesterday. Are we going to be able to save Chapter 19 the next 3 days, given it's a Canadian negotiating priority, or is that one that we just have to let go?
So as I said, today we had a very good, constructive first conversation for the week. We are going to start diving into specific issues tomorrow.
Okay.
And I think the Canadian positions are well known, and I think people know what is most important to Canada. We are going to stand up for our national interest. That's what we always do. And this is a week when we're going to work very hard to find some win-win compromise landing zones.
Madame Freeland, vous sentez pas que vous avez été isolée par les États-Unis,
isolated by the Americans and by Mexico today to find yourself with a power of negotiation that is lesser than the deal that was signed bilaterally, and that there's an agenda that will be imposed by the Americans tomorrow. No, on the contrary, I would say that the progress that was done or realized by Mexico and the United States during the summer is positive for Canada, especially concerning the car industry and the jobs sector for our government. The priority for us, beginning back to the election campaign, was the middle class of Canada, and people were working, the workers, and the compromises, and I must say, the difficult compromises that Mexico has done concerning the original rules are good for Canadian workers and for American workers for many years, and we're going against unfair competition in the countries where they are less paid. So I think that this step, this job, this work that was done in the summer is positive for Canada. So it gives us the opportunity to have a very productive week. Thank you.